Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. We've got a nice day here in Wisconsin for January. It's 38 degrees. It's actually a sloppy mess, and we're supposed to get a bunch of snow tomorrow, so I'm loading up a bunch of things in my boat so that I'm not tramping back and forth from the boat to the car through 3 inches of snow, which we're supposed to get tonight. One of the things that I've been wanting to do before I got down to Texas in a few days was to install this guy. This is the Precision Sonar The Leash, and a little background story on this. The leash is basically a safety net for your motor. You know, I live on the Wisconsin River. I fish a lot of rivers. I fish a lot of places that are stumpy. I'm kind of an old school angler. I like to get up into the dirt. I like to break my way back into areas that are just not out in the middle of the lake. And even if you are in the middle of the lake, it doesn't really matter. You can hit something at any point. Basically what I'm getting at is I like to get up into the junk, and I don't like to take my time to get out. And a lot of times I probably put my boat up on pad and run out of areas that I should not be running through, whether it's on the Mississippi River or lakes that I'm not familiar with. And Sara, my wife, knows this, and she last year, she actually saw somebody make a note about the leash, and I was aware of it. I just never really went out and got one. So I purchased one this year. I've got one this year. I'm not sponsored by Precision Sonar. I just feel like this is something I should have on my boat as a safety net. I do know a couple of people that have hit objects with their lower units, and instead of the lower unit shearing off like it's supposed to, the motor has ended up on their back deck. And with two little boys who just walked in the garage right now who are watching this, the last thing I need to do is have a motor in my seat while I'm driving and potentially kill you. I'm not looking to do that. So I'm putting this thing on to, God forbid if I do hit something, to hopefully prevent me from being seriously injured by the motor. So I just want to show you how to go ahead and put this on, because I do think this is something that anybody who's running really a boat, but specifically something like a bass boat where we're running at speeds where your motor is going to get sheared off potentially, I think it's worthwhile putting on. So I'm going to do a little installation video. I'm sure some of you guys out there probably have put these on, and if you've got tips, share them in the comment section. But based on what I've seen, pretty simple procedure. You know, there's only a couple of parts that come with the leash. So you've got your, I guess, the colored tether, which will actually go around the motor itself. We went with red because the Bridgeford boat is black and red. And then you've got your main tether, which will actually go, I guess, on the inside of the motor and create the lasso type effect. Comes with a couple of brackets, which we've got here. And then you're gonna need a 3/4 inch socket and a 15/16 inch socket, and another wrench, I guess, or 2 sockets, whatever you want to use to get the bolts off. Pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead, get all the pieces taken apart, and go from there. So right now we are taking off the top nut that holds the motor on. This is a 3/4 inch. You're only going to want to take one nut off at a time. Don't take the bolt top nuts that hold the motor off. Never a good idea to do that, but we're just taking the top one off, so we're going to loosen this up so that we can put the top bracket that holds the leash on. So we're going to take the nut and the washer off, and then we're going to take our first bracket. And if you look in here, we've got four holes. And if your bracket for this side for the leash has 4 holes too, so that's going to line up perfectly. You want to put the bolt through the same hole. So it's the 3rd hole down with the Yamaha. So we're going to go 3rd hole down. Then you'll take the same washer and the same nut and tighten that back up. So we're going to tighten this one back into place. Okay. All right, so we've got that one on nice and tight. Now we're going to take the other bracket and do the same thing on this side. Okay, same thing on this side. Third hole down. So we're going to put this third hole down, put our washer back on, and then thread our nut back on. And we'll tighten this into place. This is the hardest part about the whole thing. You want to make sure those are tight. All right, so we've got our two brackets on. All right, so we're just taking the bolts off of, I guess, the inside tether. It comes with these little aluminum inserts. You can leave it on the one side like that, but we're going to want to thread the other end through the inside. I guess I'm not sure familiar with the actual name, so it's like the housing that encompasses the whole shaft and then this plate. So we want to thread that through the middle. So I'll do it from right here, just sliding that through. And then I'm going to put my little aluminum ring back in on this side, just so I have it there. And then we can take, so this is like, I guess the outside tether is what I would call it. So this is the part that's going to sit around the shaft. So we just want to take the inside, loop it through, take this side around the outside of the motor, and we're going to do the same thing here. So this is going to sit right down here, and that's going to be the part that's really going to prevent the bottom of the motor from whipping up around. So now what I want to do is I actually want to trim the motor up to take up some of that slack room that I have, so you know exactly where, which hole you want to mount that. All right, so I've trimmed it up. Now you can see you want to make sure you've got enough slack room to allow, when you trim it up, to basically give your motor room so you're not actually coming in the way. And in this case, there's plenty of room here with respect to this being trimmed up, but I'm going to take the bolt and I'm going to just tether that, go through the aluminum one and tether that through. I'm going to go with the second one just to get a measurement. I mean, I feel like there's plenty of room, and then I can raise and lower it a few times to make sure that I've got the right amount of slack. All right, so I'm just going to raise and lower it to make sure we've got plenty of slack room. Looks good to me, for sure. So I'm going to mount it on that one. You can do, like I said, it just depends on the motor and which one you're using. But in this case, I mean, we can get it basically all the way up, no problem. So now I've got two 15/16 ounce wrenches. I'm just going to tighten these into place because I know I've got enough room. Okay, got that one tight. Okay, got that one tight. We got the leash on. The last thing that they do is they give you two pieces of basically 3M protective tape. This is just to keep the leash from rubbing. If you were to leave this on for a while, you'd actually rub some of the paint off. So we're just going to take that clear, basically protective coat. You can see where it rubs, so right in that area. So I'm just going to take it, put one right, starting right at the middle of that seam. bolted on nice. And then that'll protect it when it rubs. I got a little bubble there. I'm really not concerned at all about that. And then we're just going to take the other one and do the same thing. Okay, so that's gonna just keep you from rubbing on the motor. I'm gonna go over the bolts one more time just to make sure that they're all tight. But this guy right here, I just feel good about doing it. I would feel absolutely horrible if I hit something, had the motor, if something happened, whether it's myself or a marshal or one of my boys, and I knew I could have prevented it from happening, I'd feel terrible. In this case, at least I feel like for the little bit of money that they cost, that it's worth the safety and not having something potentially horrific happen. So I know it's not necessarily the best thing to think about, but when you're running around the lake at 75 miles an hour, it can happen. And this will hopefully prevent anything. So check it out, guys. I'll put, I believe they're sold at Tackle Warehouse, so I'll put a link using my affiliate, Tackle Warehouse affiliate deal. I'll put that and Tackle Warehouse link in the video description. Otherwise, I'm losing daylight here, so you know that probably took me 15 minutes, maybe, probably more like 5 if I had all the right tools out initially. But yeah, it's very easy to do. Check them out, the leash. Make sure you're safe when you're out in the water. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned. We'll have a new video coming out tomorrow.